my entire career, I've wanted to speak to Kevin Conroy, and here I am. I get to talk to you right now, and I'm so excited to be able to do this.
Thank you. Look, I feel so lucky to have, sort of gotten the brass ring in terms of voiceover roles. I had no idea when I auditioned for this role back in '91, 30 years ago, that it would lead to such a career, really, of doing this one character. It's amazing. Actors book jobs. You know what it's like. You book a job. They order 10 episodes, and you figure that's it. And if they order 10 more, that's gravy. And if there's 10 more than that, it's a blessing. But you don't imagine one job, one show leading into another show, leading into another show, and then all the games of the direct-to-video movies. I mean, it became just this industry to be a part of. I was so lucky.
When you auditioned for Batman, there was only Michael Keaton, Adam West. There was the other guy who did the serials. Did you think that it would work? That the show would actually take off, or what was your expectations at the time?
I had no idea, because other than landing in this incredible role, what's also extraordinary about what happened to me is it was the first animated role I ever auditioned for. Isn't it amazing?
That is incredible.
Usually you go on dozens and dozens or hundreds of auditions before you get something.
Yeah.
I was a stage actor from New York who happened to be in L.A. doing a pilot for a series. And my agent said, they're putting together a new animated show over at Warner Brothers. Why don't you give it a shot? Why don't you, you've never done an animated voice, give it a shot. And it just was kind of a perfect meeting of an actor with a role. Everything I had done before that, I trained at Juilliard. I did Broadway, off-Broadway. I did a lot of classics. I did a lot of Shakespeare and the Greeks and tragedies and stuff. And the one role that I go in on for animation is the most classic of all the superheroes.
Yeah.
He's the only superhero who has no superpowers. He can't fly. He can't see through walls. He's a human being, and he's a very flawed human being. He's a tragic hero. But he's truly like one of those epic heroes, like Achilles, like Orestes. He's Shakespearean in the drama around his life. So it was just a very lucky break that I, with my background and my training, happened to walk into that audition.
What was the inspiration to play Batman at that point? Because again, you didn't have a lot to go off of. Were you a big comic book fan? Did you know the material before you walked into that audition? Or
well, that was what was funny. That was funny because I was so naive to comics and animation that I didn't know who I was meeting that day. So that was part of the reason I think I did well in the audition, because I didn't get nervous.
Yeah,
I was meeting Bruce Timm.
Oh, wow.
Paul Dini, Eric Radomski, Andrea Romano. I was meeting these people who were the best in their field, and I didn't know who they were. I mean, to me, they were Joe Schmo. I'd never heard of any of these people, and I had no background in Batman other than the Adam West show as a child. So I had nothing to make me nervous. I had no anticipation to get in my way. Do you know what I mean? How you go into an interview sometimes and you build it up in your head so much that you get in your own way.
Oh, yeah. I do that. That's my whole life.
Build this up yeah, we do it our whole lives, right? I didn't get in my own way because I had nothing to compare it to.
Yeah.
In fact, Bruce Timm asked me what my background was in terms of Batman, and I said, well, I know the Adam West show. And he said, no, that's not what we're doing. We love Adam West. Everyone loves Adam West, but that's not what we're doing. This is a heavy drama. I said,
yeah.
He said, don't you know the background of Batman? His parents were murdered in front of him as a child. He's spending his life avenging his parents' death. He has a dual identity. He lives in the shadows. I said, well, what you're telling is the Hamlet story. That's what this is. Because I didn't know anything about this background.
Yeah.
And he said, well, no one's made that comparison before. I said, well, let me just use my imagination. Let me just improvise. So the voice I came up with on the spot was totally improvised.
Wow.
Everything was I was winging it. I was dancing as fast as I could. You know what I mean? And it was that's why it was just an unusual situation where my background was perfect for the role that they were auditioning for.
When you see other people play Batman, like Jensen Ackles just did, you obviously have so much time in the day where you can't do every single project that requires Batman. But when you see like Jensen do you ever call up Jensen after you watch this movie and you're like, hey, let me give you some pointers. I am Batman. Let me give you some pointers.
How well do you think that would go over if I was to call the other actors and say, let me give you a few pointers?
Listen, I am Batman. Me, Adam West, and Michael Keaton, we are Batman. Let's give you some pointers. Has anyone ever called you at some point and said, hey, how would you approach this? Has anyone ever came to you like that? I would.
No, you know how sensitive actors are about their performances. Do you know how that would go over? My God. No. Everyone brings their own unique life experience to any role they approach,
Yeah.
So, and usually when they don't ask me to do one of those animated projects now, it's usually because the director just wants to put their own stamp on it.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with whether they like me. They just want to try somewhere new.
Something new.
It's like all the on-camera Batman films where I assumed Michael Keaton would have that franchise because he was wonderful in the role. But then they started approaching other actors, and they're constantly bringing new people in.
Right.
And I think it's just sort of the fun of seeing what a different actor will bring to the role.
Yeah.
Because I think Michael Keaton nailed it. I think it was wonderful.
Now, after voicing Batman for so long, you got to betray him, or at least Bruce Wayne, on a CW show. Did that make you nervous at all? Now you've got to portray him on screen.
Are you kidding? Absolutely, because it's a whole different sense of your body of inhabiting a role. When you do it with just your voice in the booth, in the voiceover booth. You just live in your own imagination, The whole situation is what you're creating in your head.
Yeah.
And you can make it as big and as epic or as intimate and as small as you want. But when you're on a set and you're dealing with the other actor, and you also have, the boom, the mic in your head, in your face, the makeup woman is running up and throwing powder on your face between each take. The wardrobe person's pulling on your shirt to make sure it's tucked in.
And you're in a
brace. Cameraman is zooming. The cameraman is zooming right in on your face.
Yeah.
People don't realize that when you're in front of it, when you're on a set on camera, there are a dozen people right around you.
Right.
Inches away from you.
Right.
So it's a whole different sense of yourself when you're surrounded by a crowd like that than when you're in a booth and you're alone, or with one other actor. Like when Mark Hamill and I get in a booth together, you got to watch out because we just go insane on each other. He's such a talented, wonderful, insane actor that he gives me so much energy. And when the two of us just start feeding on each other, the director comes in, and Andrea Romano, she says, I have to separate you two. It's like 12-year-olds in here. You are going crazy. You can't do that on a set, really, when there's a camera right in your face. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you're hitting your marks. There's just a whole different kind of discipline to it. So it was very different doing it on set.
Mr. Conroy, also to ask about another actor that you worked with on the animated series, how much do you miss working with Arlene Sorkin?
Oh, so much. She, Harley Quinn was created for her.
Yeah.
Right.
Paul Dini wrote the role for her, and she just embodied it so incredibly. That sort of wise gum-chewing, that wise-cracking kind of gum-chewing maul that she created with Harley Quinn. And then the crazy kind of evil that she would go into. I miss her. I miss her so much because, one of the great things about the show was all the actors who were on it. Andrea Romano at one point said she could get basically anyone she wanted to come on that show because word had gotten out around LA that there was this really wonderful show to be a part of. And these bookings, there are great actors coming in there.
Yeah.
Voicing these characters. They got all kinds of wonderful actors in there. So that they got to be fun. And it was a 2-hour session to do an episode.
Right.
So people really started, vying for those roles. And Arlene was such an integral part to all that atmosphere of creativity.
Do you think the Harley Quinn character would be anywhere near what it is today without her?
No, you're right. She really embodied the character so well. She brought that character to life. And then Tara Strong has done an amazing job creating a huge legacy, taking over that role. Those were really hard shoes to fill. And I think Tara did an amazing job with it. But you're right. Arlene set that standard early on. And, for personal reasons, she had to pull out of it. She had personal issues. I think she would love to have continued doing it. But I loved working with her.
Excellent.
But, everybody, Mark Hamill, Roddy McDowell, Ron Perlman, Michael Ansara, the cast. Every week I'd go in and there would be these iconic characters that I grown up with.
Yeah.
Efrem Zimbalist Jr., these people I'd known growing up that I got to work with.
Now, I could be making this up in my head, but I do think it was at Dallas, a convention in Dallas. I was sitting at a panel that you were talking in, and this happened to be the panel where you accidentally leaked the Arkham game. Did that happen in Dallas, or did I make that up? Was that it? I
Why
feel
do you have to remind me of that?
I feel like I was sitting there because I was so excited about the new game.
Let's keep the record straight. I did not accidentally.
That's right.
I was set up by the fans. And they love to set me up. That was a trap. Do you remember how that actually happened?
I do. It was somebody asked you about a game that was they worded it really weird, so you didn't know what was going on.
They worded it really weird.
Yeah.
And I said, no, that's not what happens. And they said, oh, what does happen? Are you working on something now? And then the whole place exploded.
I remember being in the audience.
And then the internet went on fire.
Yeah.
It was total entrapment.
Hours later, I saw all the articles, and I'm like, I was there. I was there when Kevin said all this. Like, it was a cool historical moment for me, and the game was really great.
Oh, the game was epic. I mean, one of the best games of all time.
Absolutely. It's been an honor. I can't even explain how excited I am. My hands are shaking at this very moment that I'm talking to the Batman.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
So
we
much.
will see you this weekend.
I appreciate that. Okay, take care.